Previously on Talk That Talk.
Smarter than hackers, right? So we joke about it all the time. Going to State Fair Classic, you got people screaming your name. People with
after you leave college, you really got to learn how to navigate through these streets as a black person. I think that's the biggest difference because everybody doesn't get our humor. Everybody doesn't get, what's offensive. And even some people, like, what I realize is a lot of people just are uninformed. Black folks included, especially, and then other races. They just really don't know what's offensive. Like they just think it's like normal. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you get out in the real world and you see some of the jokes that other people do, people asking to touch your hair or hey, I got a tan today. Look like if you don't get get the hell out of my face, like, and you always as a black person has to reserve yourself because people don't see what they did to you. They only see your reaction. And honestly, even at this age, I'm just starting to realize that like I have to calm myself down and be like, all right, if I react to this right now, they're not going to say, well, why did Quan act like that? He usually never like that. They're not going to say that. They're going to say he popped off and that's the way he is. And he's being aggressive and I have to watch myself around because I don't feel safe. And people turn the narrative like people don't see what them poking the bear. They just seeing the bear maul you, But, I think that's the culture shock. The things that our teachers were saying that we was going to run into, they start to hit you then once you cross that stage. I think that's the difference.
I feel like my experience was a little bit different. As far as it being a culture shock, okay, I'm gonna come back to that part of it. But graduating, going out into the real world, one of the first tasks that you face with being in this field, which is mental health, you want to become licensed, so you take a test. You take your LPC exam or your NPC exam, whichever one you decide to take. Now, in that room, it's composed of people from everywhere. They could be from Rice, they could be from U of H, PV, TSU, wherever. That test is the great equalizer. It don't matter where you come from. If you could pass that test, you pass it. If you can't, you can't. So I passed mine the first time. I'm watching folks from U of H and Rice with these billion-dollar educations get turned around. So the in that aspect, I feel like I was prepared for that. I developed a certain vibrato while I was at Prairie View, and while just growing up. Period. A lot of folks would notice about me, Julian. You might not. I'm a extremely introverted and self-conscious person. You probably never know that about me. I've always been that way. Everything that I've said, everything that I've done, I've thought about and replayed 2 and 3 times before I've said it or before I've done it.
I'm sorry, brother. Mr. Hot Boy himself. I do not. I'm sorry. No, I don't agree.
That's the truth. That's the truth. You. That's why I say certain stresses are healthy. You develop ways to kind of challenge yourself and put yourself out there and create who you need the world to see. So when you go out there and you are the youngest black man in the room or the only black man in the room because you're in mental health and is predominantly female or white, you have to kind of establish yourself quick. You can't be scared. You can't be self-conscious. Your voice can't crack when you had a floor, when you in rounds, or when you're giving your prognosis or your diagnosis of a client. Your voice can't crack. So when you come from Prairie View, you come from those sections, and you come from somebody who deems himself as one of the baddest motherfuckers on the yard. I'm not gonna change now. Now that I left the yard, I'm still that guy. I'm still him. I'm just him somewhere else. You understand what I'm saying? So I think I was prepared for it coming from, I wasn't a section leader, but I was a leader in a section. I wasn't an officer in a frat, but I was one of the guys in the frat. So I'm not gonna shrink at this point. Like they say, you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. If you can make it in PV, you can make it anywhere. So when I got in the world, of course you face certain challenges that are different. But when I realized that a lot of things that I was experiencing were not just different, they were discriminatory. I learned how to fight. That's what we don't do as Black people. We don't fight. We just say, okay, this is just what the world is. This is just what happens here in corporate America. I can either deal with it or I could just let it go or I could just go home. Nah, you get tired of letting stuff go. You get tired of going home stressed and feeling like you getting stepped on every day. I would advise you to learn how to fight. The fighting is therapeutic, honestly. From my counselor's desk, fighting is therapeutic. So you learn how to do that and handle it that way, and not just say that when I leave my HBCU or my small corner of the world, that I gotta accept the way they treat me. No, it ain't that. Out there, you go out there and you carve out, and you make your space, and you do it your own way. But you got to stand on that. Like it's so easy to throw a punch, but go through a legal process. Actually retain a lawyer and sue somebody for discrimination. You think fighting somebody gangster? Nah. Nah. Have the fortitude to go through a legal process where they tearing your character apart. And 90% of it is lies. So my introduction to the world taught me to learn how to not only acknowledge and not flip out with people being dumb, but make them pay for being stupid. You want to be stupid with me? Well, you better have a deep pocketbook because you're gonna pay for it. You gonna be dumb, you gotta be. If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. So we're gonna see how tough them pockets are. So that's